You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey guys, Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk on right here, on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. Listen, guys, my vlog this week, I've been very conflicted about the whole NIL and the NCAA. The NIL, for those of you who are not quite understanding what it is a ruling that allows players to profit from their name, their image, and their likeness. So theoretically, NCAA football players and basketball players can endorse products. They can go out on speaking engagements and get paid for them. They can use their likeness for those advertising campaigns. And probably one of the biggest things that will happen is in the video game industry. When the NCAA comes up with a new game, their name and their likeness will be able to be used, and they'll be able to profit from it. Now, the question becomes, is this good for the game or bad for the sports? It doesn't matter what we're talking about, because there's good things and there's bad things, right? The good things, the NCAA has been making billions of dollars off these kids in basketball and football for decades. And the kids get an education, hopefully. And the kids get nothing back except that education. I don't know that that's not enough. And this might profit or might help. Remember the sports that aren't, there's more sports in colleges than just men's basketball and football. And those programs of basketball and football, especially football, funnel a lot of money to other sports. Many schools had to fold those programs last year because of COVID and the lack of revenue from football with no fans and whatnot. So maybe there'll be a benefit to the baseball teams, the softball teams, the swimming teams, the lacrosse teams, both men's and women's, that they'll be able to do some endorsements. But there's a flip side. There's a bad side to this whole thing. And I would love to hear you guys' opinions one way or the other, because I keep flip-flopping. One of the big problems we have right now is this isn't in every state. Every state has not voted this in, and the states that it's not, or the states that it's in, they have an advantage, I guess. Right? I think there's 14 states as we speak now. Maybe there's a few more that have voted this legislation in, and they have set down the guidelines. The others that haven't have basically left it up to the schools, the individual schools, to police this and decide what they're going to do and set their own guidelines. That's a recipe for disaster. We know these schools can't police themselves. The only guideline the NCAA has given to these schools is don't allow boosters to pay athletes. Well, boosters are often people who own car dealerships or casinos. Well, there's another thing, another danger side of all of this. But they often own businesses where they're going to want these kids to endorse them. And it can't let these endorsement deals influence recruiting. How can it not? How can it not? I mean, without some kind of legislation, to me, maybe the rich gets richer here. Am I going to get better endorsement deals if I go to Alabama or if I go to Wisconsin? At the same time, maybe kids who are going to be third or fourth string at Alabama might be better off going to a coastal Carolina where they can get endorsements and maybe sell their likeness. See, it's very muddied waters, very muddy waters. And remember, the schools are not paying these kids directly. That's still a no-no. It might clean up the sport where schools don't have to let kids don't have to look the other way with boosters and whatnot. My problem is a lot of the people that will be offering these kids endorsements are going to be boosters of the schools. And they're going to be offered as enticements to come. How can it not be? A booster for Alabama who owns, 500 car dealerships in Alabama and Florida and LSU or Louisiana, wherever we're talking about, can say to a kid, can say to a bunch of kids, come to Alabama. All of the kids at Alabama get this endorsement. And there's a sliding scale. Is there a sliding scale? Is a quarterback going to get more than the fifth string offensive lineman? Probably. A lot of muddy waters here. Guys, I don't know what I'm for. I'm okay if kids make some money when the NCAA is making billions off their efforts. Billions. And I'm okay if it benefits some of these lower tier sorry, I don't want to use lower tier sports. They're not football, men's basketball, right? I hope that they can benefit, and maybe some of these sports that have gone away will be able to come back, and the ones that are still here will be stronger because those athletes are able to maybe sustain themselves, and the schools won't be needing to help these kids as much as they do, and they can keep these programs going. But that doesn't mean, these endorsers can put in money into the programs. It goes into the kids' pockets. So the situation is still ripe for cheating in my mind amongst the type of people that want to do that type of thing. So, again, I usually come on here with pretty strong opinions during my vlogs, and I'm having trouble with this because I see some good, but I see a lot of potential bad. If this works out where you can level the playing field a bit, because, again, remember, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Georgias, the Oklahomas, these schools have kids that are on their third string squads that could be starting in many, many, many other programs. And maybe it brings up the Coastal Carolinas and it brings up the Liberty Universities, two great stories from last year. And it levels a playing field a little bit for those schools because those kids can make money off their name, their image, and their likeness. They can get out on the speaking engagement tour and make money. They can make money when a new game comes out from whoever, PlayStation, a new college football game, and the quarterback from Coastal Carolina is going to be able to make money because he's in that game. His likeness and his name on a jersey is in that game. Throws up in the air, though, too. What about all the money that's made on wearables? Right? Does the school continue to make money off of that? Or every time something's sold with a quarterback's jersey or the running back's jersey or cornerback's jersey, those kids have to get a piece of that. Now, the schools are more involved because the schools are making the money off of those jersey sales now. Again, I'm not saying the school should be making gazillion dollars off these kids and they get nothing. Some of these, the majority of these kids aren't making the NFL. If they have a way to make some money off of their talents now, then I'm all for that happening. But I'm also for them getting their education. And I'm all for the rich not getting richer. I'm okay if the Alabamas are good every year. The Notre Dames are good every year. The Oklahomers are good every year because it's good for the sport, but I want to see more parity where the Coastal Carolinas get to play the Notre Dames. You get to play the competition that the Notre Dame and Alabama play. Maybe this levels the playing field. Maybe it makes it even more unlevel. I'm still not sure. And for me, the problem is, right now, the schools are policing this themselves. and boosters who were allowed to run wild before, what are they going to do now? There's a booster in Miami, and I don't have the I believe he promotes an MMA site, but he was going to pay every Miami kid player. He was willing to invest $500,000 to have them all promote this endeavor. He's a booster. Boosters are not supposed to be offering kids endorsements, but kids are legally allowed to take endorsements. You see where the gray area comes in? I'm not sure what to do, guys. I don't know if this is good, bad, or indifferent. But again, I'm hoping that once the dust clears here, and it's probably going to be ugly for a few years. There's going to be probably some bad stories that come out of this. But I'm really hoping that the ruling is going to allow other sports to benefit off of the backs, or not have to get the hand-me-downs from the football and the basketball earnings, right? They'll be able to find a way to fund themselves. But again, this ruling is about the players, not the programs. I'd like to get your opinion, guys. Reach out to me. Comment on this video. Is the NIL decision good or bad for NCAA sports? And remember, we're not just talking about Division I football or Division I men's basketball. We're talking about everything you can think of, from the biggest school in the country, let's just say Alabama, to the lowest rung school in Division III or NIIA football or basketball or women's sports, archery. It affects everything. So we're going to see what happens here, guys. And I really hope that when the dust clears, things aren't crazy. And by the way, Reggie Bush, you're not getting your Heisman back. This ruling is put into effect today. It's not going to be retroactive to 2005 when you were accused of selling your likeness, and that's why you had to give back your Heisman. Different story, topic for another day. Guys, give me your opinions. Are you for this? You think this is good for college sports? You think this is bad for college sports? I'm going to have more of an opinion as we go along. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. I am out of here. Have a great day.
You can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any